Hello, my name is George Castineiras, and this is my recorded Capstone presentation. Thanking all of you for taking a minute to listen. And this is for May of 2023 for the Harvard Financial Technology course. So let's go ahead and begin on the first slide that I'll reference, which is Summary of Circumstance. I'm a partner at a organization named Sanctity Innovation, based out of Massachusetts, focused on private consulting, growth consulting in the space of financial technology, financial services, insurance, workplace solutions, employee benefits, etc. We've been hired by an organization that needs to remain anonymous and will go by the name of FIMCO, FMCO, and they've identified a unique lending opportunity that they want to launch at the beginning of 2024, but they also wanted to start building a framework for the go-to-market strategy. Let me read the second bullet, which is critical about their business, so you have a core understanding. FIMCO has identified a unique consumer lending opportunity that will underwrite 100% of individuals who apply if three conditions are met. None of those conditions are a credit score, and that's one of the things that makes this quite different. The other piece that makes this quite different is that third bullet in. Everyone that meets the three conditions will receive the same interest rate when the loan originates. So in this environment, the amount of information that we're able to collect is pretty powerful and will enable what we're hoping, a unique experience and engagement model. So as we took a look at a go-to-market strategy, one thing that we know, lending is lending, but the relationship that people have with money is toxic. And to draw your attention to a couple of key points, that second point on the left, 75 to 90% of all doctor's visits are stress-related ailments and complaints. I think we all, at some level, understand that stress has a negative impact on our health. And then if you pull yourself back and say, well, what drives a lot of that stress? One of the core items is money. And if you look at that first bullet on the right, 60% of Americans are anxious about their personal finances. And part of it's just the way it's set up. We grew up in an industry that's been historically recognized for making it very expensive to be poor. And I think technology, financial technology specifically, is changing that very rapidly. The main point here to take away, stress is costing the American industry an estimated $300 billion a year. So when we came to this project, we thought, well, can artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning produce financial services that drive financial wellness? What is financial wellness? The definition that was produced recently, or 7 years ago, about 8 years ago, by the CFPB has four core parts to it: having control over day-to-day and month-to-month finances, being able to handle a financial emergency, being able to stay on track with financial goals, and having the financial freedom to make choices that allow you to enjoy your life. We also have a hypothesis right there that says, talking about money culturally, no matter where you are in the world, in some way, shape, or form, is somewhat voodoo. And given enough intelligence, we believe that AI, machine learning, deep learning will improve financial wellness meaningfully, better than anything historically done through traditional methods, meaning people. We do think an interactive, meaningful, accurate engagement that's digitally based could actually change the game and be proactive and create less vulnerability for the consumer. One of the key insights that we picked up, we were suspicious about, but I'm not going to go through the entire slide, is a lot of people are spending money. Very few people know what they're doing. But everyone's recognizing how valuable it is. And those are the key takeaways from this presentation on this slide specifically. We did scenario planning on this to determine, well, what does success look like? What doesn't it look like? What could potentially happen? How do we prepare? And does it make sense for us to spend the money? So on the vertical axis, we've got the proprietary data. How much of it do we have over time? More versus less. And then on the left, you've got, or on the horizontal, you've got the artificial intelligence technology and how far advanced is it going to get over a period of time, less advanced to more advanced. Now, in the category of we nailed it, we would have both circumstances show up positively, where it continues to advance from a technical perspective, and our proprietary data that we start to ingest over 2-3 years becomes more and more valuable. and the spend would have been a terrific spend because it's going to enable a strong foundation. But we also quickly recognize we don't know, and it's still early. What we spend may end up being a sunk cost, i.e. risky business. Alternatively, we see a scenario where we might end up with some good proprietary data, and that might create a data company. And is that attractive enough for us? Question mark. And then obviously the least attractive is a situation where we have terrific technology and no meaningful data. And at that point, there's really not a lot that would differentiate us versus others. And it's a very competitive world. So when we looked at this, we recognized, look, we're going to spend money. How do we do it smart? It's a 50-50 on how successful it's going to be. So the competitive landscape, when we looked at providers that could help us, this came directly from Harvard, our tutor, Vicki Johnson, who thank you very much for all the support, really does a nice job identifying advanced players with the ability to handle deep levels of complexity and those players that are willing to tailor offerings. So as you can see, when it came to tailoring offerings, it really is a bit of a niche group. And we took a look at them up on the upper right quadrant, but we also expanded it to see what else can we look at so we have a deeper understanding. And this is the competitive review that we did. And I'll cut to the punchline. We ended up landing on Coegil. We spent a lot of time trying to find ways to disenfranchise ourselves from them. As we looked at them deeper, they ended up being our number one choice. Second was Explorium, and it's not even a close comparison, but they're a very powerful data company with a lot of resources, but a bit more out of the box. And then the other ones that we really like that I highlighted 3, 4, and 5, Databricks, Alteryx, Data IQ, terrific, but we also recognize they're so far along for a company our size that's just about to launch. We may get lost in the shuffle, and we would not get the level of attention that we would want. You've got large players at the bottom, AWS, Google. We recognize if we did that, we need to hire some expert talent internally to make that even work. So that's an additional expense. And this kind of gives you the ranking and a little bit of the feedback. We did contact 3 of the companies that you'll see marked over there on the right. The one thing that really helped us also is engaging with some of these firms. And I love the quote that was sent from an email right here from Coegil directly to Sankety that says, here's one way to understand Coegil's value. Generative AI is revolutionizing how businesses use AI. We have customers who are using Coegil to fine-tune Chat GPT for customer services, sales, and accounting business cases. They are also starting to train private large language models within Coegil for some customers so that they can keep their data safe and away from OpenAI. That started to clarify how meaningful of a relationship this could be just based on the structure that they have set up already and the likelihood that there's some bandwidth to take us on, because I think this is about to hit a pivot point where a lot of these AI franchises are going to start getting a lot more business and a lot more attention. Then we moved on to take a look at what's the break even if we do spend money. So just to give you a quick illustration, a $20,000 monthly spend would require the business to generate or originate about $48 million in loans, which represent about 2,400 loans. That is actually not that challenging based on the modeling that we've done and the scope and size of the market and how we plan to go to market. This gave us good confidence that we should move forward. It could create a strong moat. But then we also recognize we're already going to spend a good amount of money on data as it is just to manage the ingestion of registration and the engagement data through the journey of the consumer with FIMCO. So when we looked at all this, we ended up we have 3 options: hire an expert, hire a consultant, or hire some vendor that can operate as a partner that does both help us think, help us plan, and help us execute. And we obviously landed on the third one for the obvious reasons. So the summary of the recommendation, ultimately, we thought, I specifically, especially from all the work that we did in the course, be willing to go in and spend on the low end $25,000, on the high end $50,000, and think of that as a learning budget for the first year to understand what to do, how to do it, and how to start framing it and start to see how to capture value. and then work with Coegil. One of the things that I didn't mention is that geographically they were also very desirable. I know we live in a world that doesn't require physical presence, but when you recognize that it's an industry that's in desperate need of business minds, and business minds are in desperate need of data minds and data scientists, having people close by on this journey may be a good idea. So we're happy to announce that this is the direction we plan to take. Things that Coegil helped solidify for us in this decision was in our marketing materials, and we didn't have to program it. We don't have a single person hired or intend to hire, and they're ready to work with us when we're at the very, very beginning of our journey. In addition to that, they have on-demand expertise that's available to operate as our practitioners, and that makes a big deal to us. So we saw them more as a partner versus just a vendor. And lastly, we wanted to get a sense of a timeline for implementation, recognizing we don't know what we don't know, but give us a sense of how much time and money we should think about. We talked about money, and as it relates to setting out some form of an MVP for the first prototype, the prototype takes about 5 months, development another 5 months, operational another 5 months, and they end up overlapping for a total of 11 to 12 months. And from our perspective, that works perfectly in line with what we're planning to do beginning 2024. So thank you very much. This has been a terrific program, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the groups have as we go through this as a team. Take care and have a